the understanding for why it was passed and why it was tied to the Fourth Amendment. That was the
So
whole point.
you're gonna tell me that overturning Roe v. Wade, an already decided court opinion, is not breaking precedent?
No, hold
They
on. No,
they
by
redid what a
definition,
previous court
let me know
said.
when. Hey, let me know when I can answer. Keep asking your question. Let me
So
know when
what?
I can answer. Well,
Answer.
Sorry. The
yeah, okay,
understanding is
yeah.
like, what
Well,
does he mean?
so
What
hold on,
does
wait,
he mean
real
by?
quick,
What does he mean
scratch.
by?
No, no, no. It's the question is flawed. You the the precedent by definition is taking the in terms of like the legal precedent is taking the ruling of one case and applying the rationale among an array of other cases that are similar in different ways. Precedent does not mean overturning. You're ignoring precedent by overturning an original ruling. You're just you're re-looking at the ruling. It has nothing to do with precedent if you're re-looking at the same ruling.
Yeah.
When was the last time the Supreme Court's ever overturned a previous court's decision?
All the fucking time. I mean, like they do it
Name
constantly.
one.
Let's not forget that we had the 18th and the 21st Amendment that directly contradict themselves.
I'm not talking about amendments. I'm asking you, when did the Supreme Court overturn a previous court's decision?
Like a previous Supreme Court decision or a previous like lower courts
Yes.
decision.
When did the Supreme Court overturn a previous Supreme Court's decision?
I mean, they do it all the time. I don't have them off the top of my head, but they do.
Oh,
It's
so
something
I
that
don't
happens
have
a lot.
mine off the top of my head. It's a problem. So you
I'm not
don't
making a
have any
claim.
others. You don't have.
Yeah.
My claim is that they haven't done it aside from Roe v. Wade. That's my claim, and I'm happy to be wrong if
You
you
don't
can
think that?
prove it.
Okay, give
I
me one.
see
Hold
scratching
on,
there
wait.
through AI. Go ahead and type it in. When was the last time Supreme Court overruled themselves
I'm
and
sure he's
overturned a case
just.
that was already decided?
I'm pretty
He's trying.
sure I'm pretty sure the last time that happened, was with was in reference to like how much power the executive has over, um, like congressionally made agencies and institution when it comes to their
Okay.
funding.
But like, didn't they do this all the way, all throughout history with like the Dred Scott decision and like the like throughout like all the major things that happened throughout history? Like they were constantly going through and changing things as as more things have come up.
No,
But
they were
yeah.
changing laws in response to the Supreme Court's decision.
Mm,
That's the purpose of the Supreme Court. What I'm asking you is, can you name another court case where a previous panel said one decision and the next court
United States v.
overruled their
Nixon in
decision?
1974, and then Trump v. United States in 2024.
Trump v.
That was
U.S. and
specifically in regards to immunity, and
okay,
what
and
immunity
in what
the president
original
has to
case did
have.
they overturn?
Huh? United States v. Nixon.
No, they didn't overturn United States v. Nixon.
Well,
In
yeah.
relation to Donald Trump had a separate case.
Un-
My question is, can you tell me
United
when
States, So United States v. Nixon was specifically relating to like what immunity does Nixon
I
have,
no,
or the
you're
president.
not understanding my
Okay,
question.
so they're overturning previous precedent. Yes.
So if you said, okay, Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch and the Republican court right now overturned the Nixon case, not ruled a case that contradicted it, but overturned the Nixon case
Hey,
that was already
that's an
decided.
overturn.
No, that's not an
I would consider
overturning.
that.
That is
Okay.
absolutely not an
hold on,
overturning.
hold on, real
They
quick. Sorry,
literally
I just.
took an existing
Yeah.
case, which is Roe v. Wade, and they
This is
overturned the
dumb. But
decision.
That's
this
okay.
entire thing is hold on. This entire
Uh,
thing is stupid. Look up.
wait,
It's
this is
not stupid.
this
Hold
is
on, sorry.
semantical.
Just real
Okay,
quick. Just real
yeah,
quick.
this is
Just,
okay. I
no,
just
no, no.
realized
Semantical. You
It's not even
can't give me
semantics.
a
it is
court
Hold on.
case that
okay.
Hold on.
overturned.
Hold on.
Wait, wait.
Tesla. Right now, what I need you to do.
No,
Okay. Look up
LTA,
right
can I
now.
finish? Sorry,
Supreme
just
Court
finish that.
decision overruled by previous decision or overrules previous decision. And there is a table on Congress.gov with over 50 different decisions. The Supreme and it gives you the date when the
Yeah,
original
that's what I
decision
pulled up.
was gone through. Exactly. There's like I mean I only looked at 50. There might be over 100. Like this happens fucking constantly.
Okay, can I finish? Okay. So, I just want to be clear. Is Tesla trying to make a distinction between the court looking back at previous cases and then saying, and then like literally overruling that exact case versus the court, with a new case with like a new plaintiff, and
Correct.
defendant, then making a new decision which overturns previous court
No,
precedent?
that's not what overturn means. Overturn means you take an existing case and you overturn the decision. Ruling a separate case with different merits and different facts That doesn't go
Yeah,
with previous
the
precedent.
precedent
Is
is
not
overturned.
overturning. No, it's not
Oh, no, but they
overturning.
I don't.
specifically
Are these?
talk
I'm pretty.
about-
These are
they
colloquial
talk about-
terms. I don't think these are
Dude,
really official.
literally it
Supreme
says
Court
right here,
they
table
specifically-
of Supreme Court decisions
Yeah.
overruled by
Yeah, these are
subsequent
colloquial
decisions.
terms.
Like,
You're just using them really semantic. This is such a
But-
semantics game.
but
This like
like,
the difference.
yeah.
Sorry, I
Why
just want to be clear. The
are we
difference
being
are
hypothetical?
These
the
are
difference.
What's the point?
subsequent
Tesla,
decisions.
the difference you're
These
trying
are
to make here is
subsequent
literally irrelevant
decisions.
to
But they-
Tesla.
but hold on.
I'm asking
Tesla.
you, can you name?
Tesla, I
You
hate
can't.
me.
You can't name a court case
We did.
like Roe v. Wade that was overturned. I'm
So,
looking at this table.
Tesla,
I'm looking at it
sorry.
right now.
Tesla,
These
the
are
qualities, Tesla, the qualities that we're comparing, like how the precedent was like overruled or like overturned, it doesn't matter. The
No,
end stage
my
of
question
okay, wait,
matters.
the end
I'm
sorry, the
asking
end
you,
stage
can
of
you name another court case
Tesla.
like Roe that was overturned,
Tesla,
and you can't.
Tesla.
You're seeing. It says overruled,
It
not
doesn't
overturned.
matter. The
See, it
outcome
does
is the exact
matter.
same. Precedent was
It's not
changed.
the same. No, it's
Yes.
not. Roe v. Wade is the only court case by the Supreme Court that was fundamentally.
Okay, I want to wait. I want to be clear. Okay, if a
I'm
similar
looking at- I'm
case with
looking at
different
this right
plaintiffs and
now.
different defendants was brought to instead of the Supreme Court going back to Roe v. Wade and making a different decision on it, if a similar case to Roe v. Wade or at least with same like defendants, same plaintiffs went to this Supreme Court, right, and they ruled the way that like how their decision and how they've overturned like previously Roe v. Wade, you wouldn't say that the outcome is the same.
Because the merits are never the same. The merits are always different
Yeah,
in
but
every single court case.
if we're drawing a difference between overruling and overturning, then the overturn would more accurately represent Roe v. Wade, because Roe v. Wade was overturned
That's what I'm saying.
a few decades afterward. But right, so
That is
but
all I'm
overruling
saying.
is
Can you
just
name
something that
another
happens in court.
case?
But
All I'm asking is, can you name another
the
case?
merits don't have to be exactly the
There's 50
same.
right
It's the
here,
topic.
Congress.gov.
The topic that the court is discussing just has to be the same.
So you are
So, like-
changing the question that
No,
I'm
so
asking
Tesla-
you.
so
I asked you
so
a very
Tes-
specific question.
Yeah,
you
your
cannot
your
give
question
me an answer.
your question doesn't matter to what we're talking
It
about.
does matter.
It's
Roe v.
stupid.
Wade was also overturned through a different court case. So what you're saying is wrong. It was a
No,
different
it
court case.
wasn't.
Yes, it is. You can look it up. Hold on. This is Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health. That was the case that had
Oh,
Roe v. Wade overturned. So you're just absolutely wrong.
Well, the Dobbs decision is a separate
oh,
decision.
you're just wrong at it. Okay, this is the
Oh my
premise
God,
wrong
bro.
too. So the way the
Shut
Supreme Court
fuck up.
overturns precedent is just by
Me when I
ruling in different
flounder
cases with
because
similar
I've blown
merits.
the fuck out by
Yeah,
Bro,
that's
just
how
admit that
that's
you
how
were wrong.
precedent is
It's not
overturned.
hard.
It's just similar
I
cases.
would take the
it's just
L in
sim-
your position.
Yeah, it just
It's more dignified to just take the L.
What a
But
waste
Tesla, I
of
just want to be
fucking-
clear. Under your own logic, you could never determine like if we should vote on for president or not, based on if we think their policies are unconstitutional. Because I feel like under your logic, like if Kamala Harris, came to the stage like during her campaign and said, "Okay, we're going to ban all guns, any speech against the government, we're going to we're gonna prosecute, due process, we are going to like do like major restrictions to people's due process," and like she talks about doing all these unconstitutional stuff against like the Bill of Rights and our 27 amendments. I could use your exact same logic to say, well, we don't actually know if that's unconstitutional until it's litigated yet.
Yes.
The court
I mean,
could
the
overrule
only
it.
way to test federal law.
So you would say that you would never vote for somebody based on if you think their actions are going to be constitutional or not.
No, that's not what I would say.
No, so you do think that we can, beyond the court, determine if somebody's actions are probably unconstitutional or not, or
I
policies are actually.
maybe for you, if you're
You
North
literally
Star
just
in the
you literally
election.
just said that.
No, because it depends on the issues that you're voting for. I don't care that Donald Trump allegedly broke the Constitution. I've never claimed to be a
It's not allegedly.
constitutionalist.
We have two.
Great, and guess what? He still won the election. So it tells you there's other things that people care about than
So
simply.
you don't. So
breaking
you
the
just don't care about the
Constitution.
Constitution then.
Certain parts of it I don't agree with the Constitution. No, I was not ingrained to love the Constitution. No, I can have specific dissent on parts of the
Okay, so do
Constitution.
you dissent over the fact that Donald Trump was attacking the First Amendment rights of Harvard and its students?
Potentially, maybe we'll see. We'll see
Potentially,
what the Supreme
that's-
Court has to say about it.
Wait. Is it? I just want to clear. Is the district court's
Wait,
ruling?
how are you going to say I can
is the
disagree
district
with the
court's ruling
Constitution
precedent?
and then say we'll see what the...
Is it? Wait, I just want to
Well, see,
clear. Is
because
the district?
the
I just want to be
Supreme
clear.
Court is not the
Until
Constitution.
until overruled, is a district court's ruling precedent? At least for that case.
Court is also a function of the Constitution. But
Yes.
okay.
Correct. Except it is what
It's kind of the
it is what
So you would agree
translates
with
the
me. So
Constitution.
until overruled, it has been determined by the judicial system that Trump did violate the due process right.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean,
not
yeah.
the First Amendment rights of Harvard and
I'm not
students.
arguing that. Yeah, but it doesn't hold weight because the president of all sides, time and time again, can do things that break the Hatch Act or federal law or whatever you want to say. It goes to the Supreme Court, and then things change. And listen, if we want to go off the table, I'm happy
You're
to
acting
take
like
the
this
L.
is even going to go to the Supreme
No,
Court.
no, no.
The two cases I'm talking about haven't
No,
even
no,
been
no. I'm
appealed
happy to
by the
say
Trump
I was
administration.
wrong about the Supreme Court and how it overrules versus how it overturns. However, the overarching argument you had is, well, you, the hosts, were saying we can just determine these things are probably unconstitutional based on case law. And if Congress
Yes.
has if we have an entire table of times that case law has been overruled throughout history, then you can tell me what you believe is precedent or what even is precedent holds no weight. Because not only does this Supreme Court, but other Supreme Courts throughout history till the dawn of existence of the union that we live in has constantly overruled each other.
Like you
So
said,
it
I feel like it's relevant to also look at how stuff is overruled and like when it's overruled. So for instance, if we're talking about free speech and specifically for immigrants, which like one of the cases I'm citing here, the court has consistently overturned rulings which have brought into First Amendment rights of immigrants. So we would expect that, like, as courts become more progressive, as a society progresses that way, that the First Amendment rights of these immigrants have actually broadened, not constricted, like you are kind of predicting here.
I'm
but also,
not
like,
saying
I just want to be clear.
I've not said anything. I've
I just
not
wanna be
said
clear.
any position on that.
Huh?
So I don't know what conclusion you're forming.
I'm saying if you're trying to say,
stated
if your argument is we can look back at the past and see that precedent has been overturned time and time again, so we can't trust the courts in what they're or we can't ever make determinations. I'm saying, okay, if we're doing it by your logic, or we can look back and predict, okay, well, this is we can't really make any determinations. What are the court's determinations? And consistently, they're more and more expanding the First Amendment rights of immigrants and the First Amendment rights of the American citizens.
that doesn't
Even by your own logic of going to pass, we would expect the Supreme Court to actually broaden the First Amendment rights of these immigrants and Harvard and their students.
I mean, if you look very generically, maybe if you look more hyper-focused on what is the bench and who makes up the Supreme Court bench, you may not have the favor that you're looking for. We can even talk about the birthright, citizenship. That is apparently ingrained in the Constitution. I know there was a Supreme Court case that talked about it. I forget, it was some Chinese individual, I believe, I don't remember the name of the case, but established that, but the merits were different. The merits were 100% different than what Donald Trump is talking about. Now, is Donald Trump breaking the Constitution by saying, hey, we don't allow birthright citizenship? By your definition, and probably most of the people who view the Constitution
and the courts so far, yes.
So far, that's what you just said, right? So far. With that same notion, you would have said the Dobbs decision would have never been ruled in the way it was because the court already established the right to AB under the Planned Parenthood decision in 1973. So all I'm saying is what you think is precedent doesn't make it unchangeable. And you guys pulled this. Listen, this table hurts you in the long run more than me. I was wrong, I can say it. This table proves that the Supreme Court's decision carries zero weight when it comes to retesting their decision.
That's a super minority of the cases. You can't point to 1%.
They're landmark decisions.
They're always dismissed.
It doesn't matter. They're
It's a
landmark
super
decisions.
minority of the SCOTUS cases.
Wait, Supreme Court decisions hold zero weight because later Supreme Court decisions might invalidate them?
No, I'm saying the precedent.
I don't even know if I want to talk to this guy anymore. Like he's literally going against the entire.
Tesla, I just have a quick question. Real quick.
This guy is going against the entire concept of the Constitution.
I said that the precedent holds no weight.
So Tesla, what do you think that? What do you think the percentage of time the Supreme Court rules in line with the precedent is? Like, what do you think that percentage is? Just a
It's probably north of 90%, if not higher.
So how are you going to say that it holds no weight if it's
Because
90% indicative?
I'll absolutely tell you. Some cases have broad-reaching arms that affect a lot of people, and other cases have very limited. And you can look at that. A lot of the Supreme Court cases are private. They don't really have a ton of implications towards everyday people. When you look at, for example, the Dobbs decision, yeah, that is just one case. The
Do you?
Dobbs decision the Dobbs decision effectively removed AB protections that were once precedent. So all I'm saying is not that the Supreme Court's decisions don't hold weight. What I'm saying is the precedent argument does not. So when you say, well, we have precedent because the Supreme Court in 2012 voted a certain way, when you're the president of the United States and you look up this table that you just showed me, I'm looking at all the times that the Supreme Court has ruled against itself. So the precedent does not hold weight. And we know that with the Dobbs decision.
Dude, you realize that that's
Oh my god, I feel like
concept of
you're
Do you-
invalidating the entire existence
Tesla,
of.
do you sweat every single time it's hot outside?
Do I not really, no.
Okay.
Like,
but
I don't think
in
I've,
general, but in
it's
general,
so
when you're
interesting to me
when
that
it's hot,
like conservatives'
general-
arguments for
sorry.
why Trump is good and
Hello?
why we can never like criticize him for his
Scratch, I
constitutional
gave you a
actions.
specific,
Wait. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. I just want to be clear. You
Birthright
have to. You are
citizenship.
dick sucking to Trump so much that
not.
you literally backed yourself into a corner of, well, precedent, Supreme Court precedent and court precedent and case law. And it really doesn't matter at all. It doesn't hold any weight whatsoever.
It really doesn't.
Like, what's the point of our judicial system if Supreme Court precedent doesn't hold weight?
This is
I'll-
so
I'll-
fucking
What's the point of
district courts?
I'll tell you, because if it held weight, then the Dobbs decision wouldn't have went the way it went, and neither would any Edwards v. Vonnie, Ramos v. Louisiana, all the other cases that are on here. So clearly there is a
Okay, I have one question then.
Oh god.
there is a distinct
Just because different courts
dissent you can
just because the court sometimes overturns previous precedent doesn't mean that none of the all the court's
I'm
rulings
not
somehow have
saying
no
that
weight to them.
none of them do.
That's
I'm
literally what the
saying-
courts use every day to determine if
All
something's
right.
constitutional or
I'll
not.
land my plane with this, and I would love if you could just engage with it. Based on the fact that the Dobbs decision under Donald Trump's presidency went against previous precedent in one of the most landmark decisions in the country, then how can you tell me the president doesn't have validity in moving forward with disarming and getting rid of birthright citizenship, even though it was previously ruled on, when we know that the Supreme Court has reversed their previous decisions? Engage with that, please.
It's very basic, right? We can tell usually prima facie that certain things are pretty obviously unconstitutional. Our system necessarily lies in this. District courts use this to come to the conclusions in their rulings. And when we are like determining if an action is unconstitutional or not, we necessarily need to rely on past precedent to determine that. And while it is a possibility that past precedent could be overturned, for the most part, it usually isn't. And when precedent is overturned, at least for the specific free speech stuff that I was citing, I don't know. We kind of like moved on to the abortion topic. I just want to be clear. It was under prior party switch under a democratic court, Supreme Court. They have consistently expanded the First Amendment rights of immigrants. So if we're using this, let's look in the past. Okay, this is what has happened. We'd expect the Supreme Court to actually rule within that favor. So that's why I think.
But I asked you about birthright citizenship, and I asked you to please engage with that, and you didn't. I really want to know. Can you sit up here and say, if the Supreme Court just struck down 50 years of precedent with Roe v. Wade, okay, does the President of the United States have ground to break the same precedent that had birthright citizenship that was ruled by the Supreme Court?
The Supreme Court not have
the legal weight for Roe v. Wade was so shaky. Like even the people who supported it knew that it was a shaky ruling, because you're inferring so much through the Fourth Amendment and the right to privacy. Everybody knew that was shaky. Like it's such a terrible example to use that the precedent doesn't matter because of Roe v. Wade, because Roe v. Wade was a shaky ruling.
You guys gave me a whole chart. I'm looking at the whole chart. You opened Pandora's box.
You specifically just asked about. Oh, I'm sorry. You specifically just asked about Roe v. Wade, right?
No, I asked in light of Roe v. Wade. You want me to talk about the
In
Louisiana
light of a
decision?
super
Would you like
shaky.
we can go down the whole table of court cases that contradict each other at the Supreme Court level. It is not just the Dobbs
So hold
decision.
on. It's technically possible for, let's say that you're on trial, okay? You didn't actually do it, but let's say that you get convicted of unaliving somebody, right? Technically, the judge could just ignore the minimum sentencing guidelines and just give you like 30 days of jail, right? He could theoretically do that. That is within his power to do if he believes that you're innocent, but he has to respect the decision. Is it reasonable for somebody to expect a judge to do that?
To do what?
Give you 30 days prison for being convicted of unaliving somebody?
Depends on the merits of the case. I don't know.
I'm sorry, are you genuine? Like, did you hit your head as a child, or like
Well,
what
no,
happened?
I would ask you if we're going to talk about a hypothetical. Is there a state that has a minimum 30-day
A
jail
quite
sentence for?
literally, no, of course, obviously, there's no minimum
So why
30-day
are
jail
you making an
sentence.
extreme hypothetical?
Because
Can you
my extreme
reel it in?
hypothetical is so indicative of your thought process on this, okay?
It's not. No,
Obviously,
because you
it
made a
is. So
hypothetical that doesn't
obviously,
exist in any of the 50 states.
no,
There's
yeah,
no state that
it's
says
why
you
it's
only get
called
30
a,
days
Bro,
for
it's why it's
how could you
called
be
a
arguing a hypothetical? It's not even real.
I don't
True.
ask this
True.
gentleman. I'm not the one. I want to talk about birthright citizenship
Dog,
and the
he's
fact
making
that
fun of
Donald
you.
Trump has
He's
the
making fun of you.
ability to challenge it. And you
Yeah.
want to come up with a hypothetical that someone might get 30 days. Is that reasonable? Your hypothetical is not reasonable.
That's not even what I asked, dude.
It
Okay,
is.
hold on.
You
No,
said
it's
is
not.
it,
Hold on.
Bro,
I'm
It
sorry.
how
does.
can it be? How
Hold
can it
on.
be hypothetical if it's not a real thing?
Can you? I'm sorry, Tesla. Can you please repeat what my hypothetical was? I just want to make
Yes.
sure that you understood
Yep.
it. Okay.
You said, would it be reasonable to assume that because technically a judge could give you 30 days for unaliving somebody, is it reasonable to assume that if you did unalive somebody that you would go in and get 30 days? And then I
No.
questioned you and asked you, can you name a state that even has that? And you said no, and that this is a hypothetical. I don't even care to engage in a hypothetical because it's not proving anything.
Oh, okay.
Oh
So
my.
that's hilarious
Wait,
that
wait,
you just
wait,
didn't
wait.
even you just
Tesla.
totally ignored the
Wait,
entire premise of the hypothetical. But yeah, go on. Sorry. Go true.
can I ask him something?
Yeah,
How would you
go.
feel if you didn't have breakfast this morning?
Great, because I don't eat breakfast. Ever.
Okay,
Another hypothetical.
he can understand hypotheticals.
You got it.
So
Yeah.
you're just being
I
dishonest.
just wait.
No, I can
Steven,
but see that's a realistic hypothetical because most people eat breakfast. An unrealistic hypothetical is saying that anybody who unalives somebody intentionally would get 30 days prison.
So
That
the
is
reason
an
for an extreme hypothetical,
unrealistic and
yeah.
unfair and disingenuous
It's not
hypothetical.
disingenuous.
That
So
is
the
the
reason
parallel
for
that I'm
it is
drawing.
so the reason for an extreme hypothetical is to very like very intentionally zoom in on a specific point and a specific part of an argument. Okay. So what you're saying is because judges have the ability to overrule precedent seemingly whenever they see fit, that precedent is not nearly as strong as we're implying that it is. My argument is, well, okay, that doesn't really make any sense because just because a judge can do something where they can overrule precedent or be a landmark of any specific case doesn't mean that you should expect it to happen or that it should be the norm. For
Yeah, but
example, if you were
there's
to
no law that says you have 30 days in prison if you want to lie to
obviously,
somebody. So that's the
Whoa.
fault
hold
of
on,
your
no,
hypothetical.
it's not a judge. Hold on. The laws don't dictate sentencing, dog. The judge does.
I understand, but the law that your hypothetical is on doesn't fucking exist. You're not even playing a fair
Which
hypothetical.
law doesn't exist?
The one that says you only get 30 days in
There is
prison.
no, again, hold on. I'm sorry. I have to say this again. You do realize that the law does not dictate sentencing, right? That's
No,
up to the judge's
the
discretion.
law actually has parameters on what you can, max and minimum penalties. Yes, it does.
Sure, but theoretically, a judge could ignore a minimum sentence.
No, theoretically, no, because that's law. It's not a
Yeah,
court
theoretically, they
decision.
technically could, right? Could be a landmark case. They could technically do it.
But the law is clear. The Supreme Court decides things that aren't clear, right? The Constitution doesn't talk about AB directly. It's not mentioned once. What did they use? They used a privacy protection and tried to argue that it agreed with that. That is a fair hypothetical we can have. There is no state that says you only get 30 days for unaliving somebody. It's not even a thing. And yes, they are bound. The judge, there has been cases where judges want to pursue the unaliving penalty, or they want to give somebody more, but because of the legislature in the state, they're bound to whatever they're allowed to give. No, a judge cannot just make up a sentence. I don't know what state you live in, but that's not a thing. There's minimum and maximum penalties. So it's a pretty weird hypothetical. You could have went
I mean,
somewhere with
I agree that it would eventually probably go up to like the Supreme Court, or it would go up the court system or whatever. But right,
I just found it. Minnesota has no minimum. Minnesota has no minimum, so engage with the hypothetical.
true.
with what? What doesn't have minimums?
Second degree murder in Minnesota has no minimum. So come on, go ahead.
I'd have to fact check that. I'm not saying you're wrong, but I would have to
Well,
look
that's
into
it. Can we,
Maximum
for
40
the
years.
arguments,
It's
let's
in
assume
the
that it's
discretion
true.
of the judge. It's the minimum.
For the
Well,
sake
no,
of argument,
I'm
let's
not
assume
just
it's true.
gonna see. I'm not gonna just assume that that's true.
Well, why? You don't want to have it. Well, because
Okay,
you're.
well, okay,
Do you notice how you're focusing?
I'll
Do
tell
you
you why.
understand that you're focusing?
Hold on.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
tell you
Just real
why I
quick.
can't assume that it's
I
true,
just want
because
to.
you can only name
No.
one state. You can
Hold
only
on.
name one
Dog,
state.
you're intentionally ignoring the point of the hypothetical to harp on the fact that maybe I don't actually know if this specific law is true. But the existence of the law doesn't fucking matter. The point of the hypothetical is, hey, you wouldn't expect a judge to ignore years and years and years of decades and potentially centuries of how the country has worked and how the legal system has worked to benefit one person. You would never expect that to happen. So it's dumb and stupid and moronic for Donald Trump to expect that to happen.
But it did with the Dobbs decision.
Dog, just because it happens once in a while, just because once every
So
once
it
in a
does
while, I walk
happen. So
out.
it's not moronic, because it happens.
Dude, hold
And
on,
it
hold on.
happens
Again, I have to ask
frequently based on your own fucking table that you provided for
Tesla.
everybody to look
Hold
at.
on, dude, dog. That's like 1% of the cases.
We shouldn't.
or 5% of the
Guys, we
cases.
should. Guys.
Don't move the goalposts.
Guys, there's no
Don't move
point.
the goalposts.
Guys, there's no
Stop
point.
moving
There's no
it.
point. Guys, there's no point in living ever, because there's been multiple mass extinction events in the past. So we might as well just like.
Every person,
jump
also
off
every
cases.
single person who's drank water ever has unalived. So if you want to live forever, you should just not drink water.
So if you wanna blow up my hypothetical and be extreme with it, go ahead.
One time somebody drank water
Look at the chat,
and there's like poison in it because of that they unalive. Therefore, you should never drink water. There's no
There's
way.
actually poison in
So
our air,
I'm asking
and
you
the
guys
only way to
specifics, and
neutralize
you
the
don't want to
poison is to do
engage with
heroin.
them. So if the Dobbs decision reversed a court's ruling, which was found to be sound law, then the president is not this like crazy individual to assume that it potentially can happen with other laws that are, in his eyes, wishy-washy in what is and what isn't constitutional. I mean, it's very simple.
Okay,
I'm not
look at-
even, I'm not even
Tesla.
like rage baiting.
Yeah,
You
perfect,
gave me an
perfect.
entire
Just-
table. An entire table
Just-
where our laws have contradicted each other. An entire
Yeah,
table.
you're repeating yourself. Yeah. Just look at the chat. I just cited you the law. You can read it. There's no minimum
Yeah,
in
no,
that
you're right. There
statute.
is no minimum. There is no minimum. So we'll
respond.
engage with that.
So
We'll
give
engage
the
with
answer.
that.
Come on.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Give the
Depending
answer.
on the merits, and depending on the judge, I don't know. Give me a more. You just
Hold
gave
on.
me a case.
Do you think that it's possible?
Give me more
so it's not
give me more to
possible.
it.
So
It
just
Okay,
depends. What
here's
day?
the hypothetical.
What astrology
Whoa,
sign is
whoa,
the
whoa.
judge?
Wait, I just want to give the hypothetical. You're in Minnesota. You see a guy. He's black. You go, oh my god, I hate black people. You pull out your gun. You shoot the black guy. Is it reasonable to think that the judge will give you 0 years?
No, I would say it's
Because you can.
unreasonable. Could he do
okay,
it?
but
Sure.
theoretically he could, right? And there's been times where judges have defied expectations. So
Sure.
okay,
So
So
what
just
if-
in the
by
same
your logic,
way,
it shouldn't be that bad. It shouldn't be that unreasonable.
I never said. When did I talk about reasonability?
you keep saying that it's reasonable for Trump to go against
Yes.
case law.
It is reasonable because it's happened. The difference with your
And
hypothetical is it's
hypothetically
never
can
happened.
happen that a
Your
judge give
hypotheticals
you
never
0
happened.
years.
Can you name me one person in Minnesota that got no time or got less than 30 days for second degree murder? Go put that in ChatGPT, because my hypothetical happened. You just don't like it and you say, well, it's only 1%.
Well, it's not a hypothetical if it happens.
It's less than 1%. Okay, that's the difference between the
Haven't there-
example
there's
I
literally
gave
been-
and the
I just wanna be clear.
hypothetical you gave.
There's literally been thousands of Supreme Court rulings.
I understand.
We're
Do you
talking about
not
206.
understand though when I talked about every court case is different with the amount of weight that it holds? In this case, there's landmark decisions like Roe v. Wade that affect every person with a uterus. Every single childbearing woman who has the ability to bear a child is affected by the federal decision that the Supreme Court overturned.
The Supreme Court has heard
Hold
about
on, real quick.
30,000
So
cases.
there are people who
I
go
understand, but
and
not all of
yeah,
those 30,000 cases are landmark decisions. Don't play dumb.
there are
You
people
know
who've taken.
that
Hold on,
that's
real
true.
quick.
So stop.
They all
Tesla.
add to
There are
precedent,
people
though.
who Tesla, real quick. So people go to the casino all the time, right? And and sometimes the people will take out all of their entire like life savings and they'll put it on black on roulette. Is it reasonable to assume that you'll win if it happens half the time?
It's math at that point. I think you have a 46% chance. I don't. It's not
Do you
even
think that
hypothetical.
do you think
Right.
that that's a?
It's,
Do you
it's
think
not
that
reasonable to assume that you will win.
right? Exactly. Correct. You would agree with that?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Except we're not
Okay.
talking about numbers. We're talking about
We
law.
are talking about numbers, yeah, and we are talking about So hold on.
No,
Even
you're
if you want to
talking
just
about the
go, if you
numbers.
want to,
I'm
let's.
talking about the arguments specific and the merits specific to the case, not general stats on if you hit red or
Well,
black.
technically the shape of
Yeah,
the
so I just
ball
so
and
0.79% of all Supreme Court cases
Yes,
are overturned.
I
ugh.
understand. Scratch. Again, out of the 30,000 decisions, there's only a handful that fall under the landmark decision umbrella. Do you agree with that or do you disagree with that? We'll go piece by piece. Would you
Landmark
say
decision
yes?
umbrella.
How many
Yes.
of those 30,000 let's do that math. What is the
How much of
percentage of
how much of the
Supreme
list
Court
that I just want to
cases?
clear, how much of the list that you're looking at fall under the landmark decision?
I'm not
Umbrella.
looking at a list. I know that there's
You have to
only
know
a
the list of
handful.
all these cases, from Congress that you're constantly referencing. How many of those are actually landmark?
I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to look through. I don't know, and I'm
Probably not
happy
all
to
of
say
them.
that.
Yeah, by the way, I just looked it up. There was a woman that pleaded guilty to a second-degree murder, and she got 0 time in prison.
Great, and
So
I
can you
loved. I would hear the merits on the case, and there's probably a reason.
No, engage.
What's
It
the
happened,
facts
so
on it?
engage with the fucking
Dude,
question.
I will. I'm engaging with it. Tell me more. You told me a woman got no time and you landed the plane. I
Yep.
have to hear
Mhm.
more on the case to see if it's reasonable or an unreasonable decision, right? Like
No,
there's
but we're not
clearly a
asking if
reason
it's a
she was
reasonable
given
or
0.
unreasonable decision. You're misconstruing it.
No, there's a reason she
He
was
keeps
given
No.
moving the
zero days.
goalposts.
You're
It's
moving the goalpost again.
insane.
It's not about
What's the
whether or not
name?
it's a
What's her
reasonable.
name?
It's not about
What's her
whether or
name?
not
What's
it's
her
a
name? What's
dude.
her name? What's her
Holy
name?
shit! You are so
What's her
pedantic. It's
name?
insane.
Tell me
Oh
her
my
name.
god.
I can't engage if you're not going to give me the facts of the case.
We're
Aside
not
from
talking
it's a
about the
woman.
case.
You're on your last
We're not
phrase.
talking about
I
the
am
case.
because there's a
No,
reason
I
she
don't give a
got
fuck if you're
0
talking about
days.
it. That's not
Because
what we're
there's a
talking
reason
about. That's
she
not the
got 0 days. So
conversation.
go ahead.
That's not what the
And
conversation's
what?
about.
Okay. And
The
what
conversation isn't about the
percentage?
specific
What
person.
This man cannot
The
engage with
conversation,
hypotheticals.
dude, holy fuck. The
What
conversation
percentage of
is it
second
reasonable
degree
to
murders got no
expect?
time?
The point is it
So she's
reasonable to expect? Is it
0.0001%.
reasonable to expect the judge to give you 0 time? That's what we're
No,
talking about.
not at
Of course
all.
it's not.
Not at all.
Exactly. So why is it ever reasonable to assume that the Supreme Court is going to overrule decisions if it only
Because they
happens
have.
0.07%
Because they
of
have.
the time?
Because they have.
It's also very interesting to me how
And they just did it recently.
Hold on, but this woman did. This woman did.
Tesla just seems like it's very interesting to me how when we gave you the list of like 236 court cases that have been overruled, you consistently cited it as like, oh, look at this, oh, we can never
The
trust
fact that
it.
they
This is
break
the exact
precedent,
reason why
yes, that's the
anything
fact
could
that
ever
I'm making.
anything could ever happen. And when I told you, well, compared to the like 30,000 court cases that the Supreme Court has looked at in their existence, it's actually like a minuscule fraction of those are actually overturned. And then wait, Tesla, and then you drag out wait, give me a sec, and that Tesla, wait, give me a sec, and then you give me a sec, and then you drag out the how many of those are landmark? You never asked that question to yourself. You just consistently cited it. It's a disingenuous standard that you're putting on me.
No, so what's disingenuous is assuming that because we all can agree based on the thing that the chart that you shared with me. We all can agree that the Supreme Court has and very recently contradicted itself and ruled against itself, breaking precedent, right?
So notice how you didn't engage with anything I just said.
Just say
Notice,
yes.
notice how
You're
you
not
didn't.
gonna say yes and be
Notice how you didn't engage.
disingenuous.
I'm gonna repeat the point again because you didn't engage with anything I just said.
I did.
No, you didn't. I said it was. No.
Hopefully,
I'm gonna repeat the point one more time, and hopefully you can actually engage.
Yes,
So it was
yes, they're not all landmark. I heard your point. They're not
Yes,
all
no.
landmark.
But the reason it's disingenuous is because you only started to bring up if they're a landmark after I brought up the 30,000. You didn't initially apply that standard when we provided you that list because it was convenient to your argument up until it was convenient to your argument up until the point that I pointed out.
It is convenient to my argument because you only need a couple. You could even say one. You could say one landmark decision was overturned and it breaks the foundation of precedent. Because here's the thing: if all the court cases that had broken precedent really didn't have a ton of affected parties and it was pretty isolated to a few individuals, then I would say, yeah, maybe.
I want to ask you,
point is a little bit more valid.
Wait, Tesla. If there were 5 trillion landmark Supreme Court cases, and out of those 236 have been overturned, would you expect the Supreme Court to overturn cases?
No, not at all. But I would say it's worth the shot. Why not?
Okay, so would you say in that scenario that we can usually use prior Supreme Court precedent to make determinations if something is constitutional?
Absolutely, you absolutely can up until you challenge it, which is exactly what Donald Trump is doing. He disagrees.
You would say it would be pretty unreasonable.
Sure. It could be the most unreasonable position ever taken. I don't disagree with you.
Okay, you would say we probably shouldn't support someone who does that then.
Or at least call them dumb.
In this case, he was against Roe v. Wade, and the argument that Donald Trump
you just conceded the entire point, dude.
No, I didn't, because the argument that
Donald
Trump
you literally said it could be unreasonable.
Can we just move back to the original subject? Like,
it's not because it was already decided law, and Donald Trump still got Roe v. Wade taken down.
That's crazy.
Donald Trump also didn't do that, right?
I can't move back to the original subject because if I bring up any instance. If I bring up any instance of Trump violating free speech, he's just going to say, "Well, it could be overturned." And the
let's just ask the question. Tesla,
interpretation.
Wait, Tesla, what is your standard of evidence to prove that Trump doesn't care about the First Amendment or free speech?
I never said he didn't.
So you agree that he hates
annoying. There's no standard of evidence because he's just going to say.
So the pendulum swings either he hates free speech or he's a full champion, and it doesn't ever fall in the middle.
Okay, what would you need?
Donald Trump has attacked
to provide? What do you need to be provided to you? Just tell me. Tell me. My opinion is that Trump hates free speech. What do I need to provide you to prove that point?
You don't have to prove me wrong. I don't. You can have that opinion. I'm not going to fundamentally.
What do I need to show you to convince you? What do I need to do to convince you? What do I need to show you?
That how you would convince me to say that I think Donald Trump hates free speech?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you'd have to show me a law that he signs in that fundamentally goes against what we assume is precedent. If you're going to hit me with, okay, he put Mahmoud Khalil in jail because he said something against the United States, and the only parties you can tell me are a handful of asylum or visa individuals, I'm not sure I'm going to buy that. I think it's a valid argument. I'm not saying it's not. Do I think he hates free speech overall? No, because as an individual that's speaking right now on a platform that he's trying to uphold, I've never had my free speech encroached on. And I don't think you have either, or anyone on this panel. And if you do, I'd love the anecdote
Is the standard
story.
Of evidence he is encroaching on your free speech?
No, I just asked, can any of you tell me, have you guys had free speech from the president that was encroached on? Like, I'm trying to find.
Not yet.
I don't even know why we're engaging at this point, because even if we did bring up an example where we said it was like impeded on, he would have said, well, that could be overturned, so you don't actually know if that was like a violation of your First Amendment.
No. I would actually disagree. I would say then that shows Donald Trump as an individual hates it. I'm not saying that our federal laws would uphold it. If your number one point says Trump hates free speech next to you, I would ask you, can you give me some examples as to why he hates free speech?
Yeah, so I would then cite to you Harvard president and fellows v. HSS,
Okay.
where the courts, Massachusetts District Court determined that they were violating Harvard's free speech, First Amendment rights by trying to pressure them by revoking federal funds to suppress certain viewpoints and certain speech on our campus.
Yeah. And I would say that the type of speech is very specific speech. It's speech that's anti-American. That doesn't make it hate speech. It does not make it hate speech. I will say that out of the gate. What it does do, though, is it highlights, he's not arbitrarily saying, well, you know, Harvard is a liberal school, so we're just going to say they can't have free speech and we're going to sue them to hell and attack them on it. He is saying specifically that they have pro-Palestinian people within that campus that have made pro-H group comments, whether true or not. That is what he is claiming. That is what he's claimed to the court, is that there's
That's not true. Like, we
anti-American.
can look. Wait. That's not even.
Okay, but
That's
hold
not
on,
even
hold
true.
on.
That's not. Wait, I just want to be clear.
That's
That's not even
free
true.
speech,
Wait. That's not even true. Like with the Ozturk girl, she wrote a fucking op-ed criticizing Israel. You can control F it. They never mentioned Hamas, and Marco Rubio they literally admit in the case that they had no reason to actually deport her. It was solely on the basis of First Amendment protected speech. And on top of that, whether you think there's Hamas or this is anti-Semitic, the remedy that he was asking for the courts was hugely against Harvard's First Amendment rights. So it doesn't even fucking matter. It's still
Donald Trump has the right. He has the right, just as you have the right, to challenge any law you'd like. Doesn't make
he doesn't
you
have the
right.
right to violate people's free speech.
We
That's
don't even have to speak about law. Trash.
That's an immediate example of it.
Absolutely, because
Trash.
guess what?
There is
That's
no need
how
to
you
speak
get
about
case law.
law.
Somebody is always
Wait, I
deprived
just
of a
want-
right in case law, because there's a winner
Is
or
it
a loser.
possible to be against free? Is it possible to be against free speech even